what can I say? It's Uncle Says. Hello and welcome to Uncle Says, a weekly podcast discussion of our attempt, our journey, our wonderful time making YouTube videos and art in China. I am Emily, and with me in the background here is Peter.
I am.
And we are coming to live to tape from the beautiful whoopwu studios in Luzhou, Sichuan, China. It's a beautiful cold night here in Luzhou, and we're talking to you tonight. We're going to talk about several things, but I think our big discussion is going to be about how to wrap up an artistic practice for the day. When your work is done, how do you put that away? But as always, not as always, this week new, we have 5 segments for you. One is How's Your Uncle, where we just check in with our actual life in China. Our second is Conducting Business, where we talk about kind of the logistics of running a YouTube channel and all of the behind the scenes boring work that we do to get that done. Then is Commentary, where we kind of go through each of our videos and tell you the kind of behind the scenes of how they got made. And our new segment this week I'm calling Homeschool Film School for now, which is a more general look at our creative process, and that's where we'll talk about what the end of the day's work and how the routines we have around that. And then finally we bring it home with Watch It, a recommendation of other media that we've enjoyed this week. So yeah, that's the show. Let's get it started with How's Your Uncle? How's your uncle? He's fine. This is the last week of my Chinese New Year vacation. Tomorrow I go back to work, and tomorrow I go into the police to renew my residence permit, so that's very exciting. That might take a day, might take 2 days. And then, I'll be teaching at school, so that's all wrapping up the vacation stuff. So I've been kind of just enjoying my time. And the last week of vacation, I went out to the park. I've gone to the cafe a couple days to do some writing. I've been practicing my Chinese, which is great. I've been focusing a lot on reading and writing because that's hard. I'm not so good at that, so I have this podcast I listen to that analyzes a conversation, and so the exercise I've been trying this week is listening to the conversation and then trying to write it down, which is hard, but I think I'm getting better even in the couple times I've done it this week, so hooray for me. And yeah, so I'll be going back to school, that's my job. I go to school. I teach kindergarten. So
do you start classes tomorrow, or do you have to go to the police station the whole day?
Well, that's, as you know, I cannot say for sure how long the police station will take. My manager, who's also American but has been living over here for a while, astutely built in time for if we forget documents or extra documents are needed by surprise. So in my mind, I've kind of blocked out all of tomorrow for the police, and then the next day we'll go do yours at the police, because Peter's visa depends on my visa, so mine has to get done first.
Now, haven't we noticed a streamlining in their office system? So maybe it doesn't take that long.
That's true. I will say that's a very good point. It's so exciting. I mean, it really makes a difference that in the last year, the procedures around foreign residence permits have really been streamlined. This is a different discussion. I just realized no Chinese bureaucracy talk is our rule, and I was just about to get into lots of details that are not interesting.
Not too much, but
I think something that has been noticeable is that there has been a real effort to make this stuff more organized, and so yeah, the last time Peter and I saw the police, just to check in to say we're still here, because we have to do that sometimes. That was a visit that generally took like half an hour, and this took 10 minutes, 5
at least
minutes.
a half an hour. Sometimes it's like been on an
Oh
hour.
yeah, sometimes it's when it was long, it took a long time. But this time we were just in and out, and
yeah, we signed a couple of pieces of paper, and that was it.
And actually, they had us sign a couple extra pieces of paper so we don't have to go back for a while, which is like great for them and great for us because it's a pain in the butt.
Yeah, we used to have to sit there and well, if everyone was back from lunch, which would sometimes take a long time,
Yeah.
then they would have to find their papers, print things out, find where in their programs that they should be typing stuff into, break out some rulers, rip some paper,
Right.
go to some other folders. It took forever.
Yeah, it took a very long time to say, yep, that's still us and we're still here. So we're pretty pleased with the new system. Yeah, tomorrow's a slightly different process than what we've been doing, but hopefully they also have hit the streamlining trend.
They moved down the hall in offices, so to a bigger office.
They have a nicer
That can
office.
only be a better.
Yeah. Those guys deserve the best office. But yeah, so that's I'm so not excited about my couple days of Chinese bureaucracy. But that's part of the deal of living in China. And I've had a really enjoyable month-long vacation. I would not say, so I'm ready to get back to work, because I feel like we've hit a good groove here. I go do my exercise on these days, and I do my Chinese, and I've been playing the ukulele more, and writing. I have to sneeze.
Hot, walk by
Excuse me.
parks.
Yeah, it's just been, and the weather not most days, but many days has been like pretty nice, so we've been able to get outside even.
The actual holiday, like the three main first holiday
Yeah, it was
days.
gorgeous. It was actual gorgeous blue sky days.
Open the
those
windows, air everything out.
days. Yeah, aired out the duvets. Take advantage. You gotta do it when you can. But yeah, so it's been a really good vacation. I wish there was more vacation because
It's good.
I got a lot to do, and work gets in the way. But work provides us a reason to be here, so that's that. So yeah, vacation's over. Going back to school tomorrow. Good times. That's how your uncle is. So let's move on to conducting business.
Hit it. Go.
Okay, so as we've mentioned a couple times, the vlog channel Hello Foreigner is currently posting our legacy projects, our archival projects that we moved over from this channel.
All of last year's work.
Yeah, so, and we are putting up a weekly brand new video in the giraffe head. There is new content going up every week, but 2 out of 3 now is.
So we have 2 old videos and then essentially a vlog.
Yeah.
Current.
But we're using this hiatus to do like a lot of stuff behind the scenes, and one of those things is we are overhauling our website, which I really do like doing. I don't Squarespace. I coded my own website, and
Serious.
it looks exactly almost like I wanted to. And we did have a discussion, like, why have a website at all in this day and age? And I think there's many reasons to, even if even if like social media takes the place of so much of the kind of information that we share with one another. First of all, having our own website, I actually am in more control of what information I am sharing and what information I am not sharing. But also, I think, you know, our primary product, our primary output these days is on YouTube, but we're using another corporation to host and distribute our work. And they actually get quite a lot out of the deal in that they get to boast that they have like whatever 7 billion hours of content uploaded every second. It's a benefit for them to host our stuff for free. And it's also a benefit for us to get an audience, but it's a two-way street. Whereas our website, I pay money to a hosting service every year, and that's ours, and it's not going to go away unless we want it to go away. It's not going to get...
If for some reason YouTube crashes or
or
closes
goes
or
out of
something,
business,
everything's gone.
Yeah.
Not for us.
Yeah, so we want to have a home that's our home, and also we think it looks more professional. If you are curious about Hello Uncle Foreigner and you look it up and all you find is social media sites, I don't know how other people feel about this, but when I look something up and there's not a real dedicated site that belongs specifically to that entity, it makes me think they're not as professional. So I think it's still pretty important to have your own website, and I also think presently we're kind of maybe in the beginning, maybe in the middle of a storm of brewing about social media and how much control it has over the internet. And when the tide swings, when the pendulum swings, or when the tide goes out on social media, it would be more of a pain to not have a website than to have one.
It's important to have a home, especially for us wayward foreigners.
Yeah, and it started as a Tumblr way back when Tumblr was still kind of viable. And we started it as a way just to keep our friends and family updated about the stories of us living abroad, and then we kind of developed into something more formal, and then as the stories got bigger, we kind of wanted to have more control over layout and presentation, so I brushed up on my HTML and CSS, and we moved it to our own hosted website so that we could play with how the content was presented. And all of this is also because I like learning. I like learning. I already knew it. I like programming to a certain extent, and so I like building it. And I could definitely see, like, if you didn't have someone on your team who liked doing it, it would be more a pain in the butt. We definitely are not in a position where we could pay someone else to do this. So I guess I'm not prescribing anything for anyone, but just for us, it made sense to have and maintain.
To put it into a timeline, also, when we came over here and started blogging, it was kind of the end of blogging. So meanwhile, while everyone was just getting into vlogging, and we're kind of late to the game with that. Like, we could have came over here and started vlogging, and we'd be a lot further along, but we didn't have anything to say. But what we did do is we built a website and a blog and documented our stories that way. So we have an old school template that is stronger for us to stand on and definitely would be foolish to throw away. We have to maintain it and keep it strong.
And it is another way. I've started to get spam from SEO companies who are like, let us help you improve your traffic to Hello Uncle Foreigner. So we're at least doing well enough to get noticed by those kinds of people. And every once in a while I'll get an email from the web, like, I found your website and blah, blah, blah. Definitely, especially if people look up Luzhou, we own Luzhou on Google. So I've met many people who've moved here and they're like, oh, I read your blog when I was thinking about moving here. So it is another source for people to find us, and it's fun.
It's a hard game
too. We like having it.
Managing getting found on Google is the same act, but a different muscle or whatever as doing for YouTube or for Instagram or Facebook. To focus all your energy into one is like mainly what you have to choose one unless you have a whole team of people like each working to each social branch. So keeping a little bit of work on all of them is pretty helpful.
Yeah. And just to have our home base, like we said. But so anyway, I'm going through the website and we're making some cosmetic changes because our look is definitely in the last year. Peter's been working a lot on the way on our branding. So we put like the logo up. We've matched our fonts across the board.
We don't really have as much photography, so there's a lot more art for our videos.
Yeah.
Prominent.
And then structurally, we're making some changes to also, one, reflect the new content of the videos versus we used to vlog what we vlogged about and now, or what we blogged about and what we vlog about now are thematically kind of different. So we're restructuring our taxonomy to reflect that and to kind of up recirculation. I want to build things at the end of each post that like send you off into other posts. You've seen that if you've ever been on a
Calls
website.
to action.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what I've been working on that a lot this week, and it's been going well. I'm working in Drupal, if anyone's familiar with that, which is helpful and then like super frustrating in some ways, but I don't think enough people who are going to watch this video even know what Drupal is, so I'm not going to go down that path.
You want to shout out to your Drupal fans?
Go Drupal. WhiteHouse.gov used to be designed in Drupal when Obama was president.
Bureaucracy.
I don't know what they use now. Noodles and a keyboard, I think. But anyway, so that's our website. I've been working on it. If you want to check it out, that's hellouncleforeigner.com. It's a little bit behind where we are today, just because we're
building.
Pardon our dust. We're building, but yeah. So that's our website. It actually, we've been blogging since we landed in 2011. So there's a lot of content there if you haven't seen it before. And that's the business. Yeah. Let's move on to commentary.
All right, we don't really have one for that, so want to pander up?
Okay. All right. So commentary is the section in which we discuss the videos that we posted this week, and this week is our second week with that. We've gone to a twice a week plus one schedule. It's a little convoluted, but so like we said up at the top, we had 2 older videos and one brand new video. So let's first talk about the new guy, which was Expensive Pants. Give me the title.
Back away from the expensive pants.
Yeah, so it was my story of going shopping for gym clothes. And you can check it out. All of our videos did quite well this week.
You want the numbers?
Yeah, give me the numbers.
Back away from the pants, 45. The noodles special, 131. And la la la, na na na, I'm an English teacher in China is 48.
That's good. We did very well this week.
It's great for us.
Yeah.
And we're not even a month and a half in.
Yeah, we got
To
2
restart?
or 3 subscribers this week.
Yep, I think 3.
So, yeah. So anyway,
Lots of comments.
We'll get to that.
Oh.
But pants. So this is the giraffe is our current vlogger persona character, and we've established now that, and it's still growing, but that we're gonna tell a story, and then we have little segments at the end that actually are really great because I don't have to write anything for them. They just are like, actually that's not true. I wrote half of it.
It's essentially a vlog, but it's
Yeah.
just a bit of a spiffed up.
Yeah, we have a
prepared-
vlog, and then we're going to try to share with you a Taobao purchase of the week. Although this one doesn't have one. We start that next week. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, so forget about that. Next week there's something new coming. And then we have complaints and viewer comments. So we have this, even though it's kind of structured, even though it's kind of a loose vlog, it does have a structure which makes it easier to write for
It's
each
as structured as this. You make a couple of points that you want to make, and
Yeah,
then you sit down and
exactly.
you do it.
Exactly. Which, again, we talked a couple weeks ago about this, that the vlog is something I don't want to spend days working on. For it to be worth it for us, it kind of has to be something like from conception to recording doesn't take that much time. And this is a format that I think is going to work for us, where I just have to think of like one little nugget of something that happened to me this week, and then we have, we'll choose a viewer comment, which is a good way to actually bring interactivity into our world without pandering, I think. I mean, maybe it's a little pandering. But it is, I like the feel of that it's like radio call-in show without actually being a radio call-in show. And it strengthens our connection with the viewers. And
it's fun to talk to the comments under the videos and then talk about them and feature them in the videos and then talk about them in the comments.
Yeah. And then complaints is just something I wrote a few months ago.
Don't ruin the mystique.
Yeah. But it's a written piece. But it is like...
And they are complaints.
They are complaints, and they're finished, more importantly. So that's all kind of plug and play. When we're ready to go, we just shoot it and it's done. And then on your side, because you are not teaching, you do have more time than me. And so in the past, we kind of ran into an issue where it was like kind of lopsided, that I wasn't able to keep up production enough to give you enough to work with.
So yeah,
I felt like I was running on a treadmill trying to get stuff to you, so you wouldn't be like, well, what's next?
Well, now that you have a structure that you like and enjoy doing, it's easy for you to come up with a concept of something you want to talk about, get in the giraffe, and just get in front of the camera, and you can kind of do it easily in an afternoon. And then the rest, all the fun bits of music and animation and graphics I have extra time, so it's fun time for me to play and experiment for stuff that we're going to use at some point in our more theatrical pieces.
Yeah, because I take about an afternoon to work on this each week, and then Peter takes...
It depends. If we need it to be something that's important, we could put it all out, put it on film it, think of it, film it, put it on the internet in about 5 hours.
Yeah.
Or like this weekend, I've taken about 3 days to work on it.
Yeah. And that has to do with, because Peter composes a score to it, and a new one for each one, right?
New one for each one, animation.
There's some animation happening and some different...
All the different graphics
post-production
and film.
graphics, yeah.
You did some filming out on the grounds.
Yeah.
So we wanted to bring that in. And...
So, yeah, it's a good exercise for me in conciseness, and then for Peter, it's a good, in a different way, practice of different production techniques that we can apply in later videos. So, we're pleased with how the giraffe vlog
Giraffe is treating us
is developing. And then our next post this week was the noodles.
Yes.
Which I expected to do well because everybody loves to talk about Chinese food, and Chinese noodles are like, quintessential Chinese food. It was easy to keyword for that. I'm sure like we're getting a lot of search traffic on it, and then the thumbnail is very attractive to look at noodles, and you put it out in places.
Yeah.
You
put it like
it
anywhere that anyone would look up Chinese food.
Yeah, so it was a easy sell, and it sold.
Essentially, people would say that that we should, if we want success, to every week put out that exact video.
Yeah. And then, so it not only got a lot of views, but we had like 15 comments on it.
Yep.
That includes our responses back to people.
Yeah.
But that's, I think,
That's a conversation.
that's maybe the best we've done in terms of comments
So
ever. So it was a good, lively discussion all week, and yeah,
go watch the noodles if you haven't seen it.
Yeah, go watch them. Go get some noodles for lunch or dinner or breakfast. And yeah, we expected it to do well, and it did. That actual shoot, I was so sick when we did it. I had like a terrible cold, but we needed to get it done because our big deal thing that still holds true, even though now we're reposting some legacy content, is that we never missed a week. We never just didn't put a video up.
Even if it was a music video or a promo video or something, we've at least put out one. Sometimes like 9 or 10 videos a week.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes we were insane. But this one, so we shot it, and I was so sick. And I look sick. I don't look well. I'm covered in flop sweat, and I'm so pale.
It goes well though with the theme of super spicy noodles.
Yeah, I think that we adopted that in terms of like,
go with it.
I'm sick, so I'm having a comfort lunch. But what I liked about that video, I did have a lot to say about just noodles, but these 3 particular dishes also had like, Proustian memories for me. So it was like I wanted to share my love of the noodles, and then I wanted to hopefully share with you the feelings I get from eating those noodles, because for me, each dish had like a special memory associated with it.
You had stories, and there is even video footage for each of those stories of back at the old school, or bean noodles, or Lijiang noodles.
Excuse me, I'm gonna blow my nose.
You can do that. But if you were going to use, it's about all that we need to say, at least about those 3 noodle dishes.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's more that we couldn't do a video on that every week. Not only would we be just filled with noodles, but
right. Yeah, I don't have more noodle memories. Those are the 3 dishes that like really mean something to me.
Maybe if we were chefs and we were learning how to cook and make noodles, then you could make a whole series on it. But that's about all the noodles we know.
Yeah, and I think it was a successful attempt to kind of use our knowledge of YouTube trends and what people like on YouTube, but adapt that to the way that we want to tell stories, so that it could have a chance of taking off and being found in search, which is so important, but still be like stories that we're interested in. And so I'm happy to see it do well again.
Hopefully it'll keep doing better. It's only been out a few days.
Yeah.
It's not even a week. It was out on Wednesday. Today is Sunday.
Okay. Yeah, so that one's still growing.
Yeah, that's a baby.
It's baby noodle.
But even more of a baby.
Yeah. Yesterday?
Yep.
Yesterday we put up La La La,
Na.
I'm an English teacher. And this video, pure vlog. I was healthy again. Everything went well. It was just a couple of things that had happened to me, or I had thought about while I was teaching English. We don't do a lot of school stories just because we're not a school blog, and it's very easy to get pigeonholed into that, I think.
Yeah, all it takes is 2 or 3 videos that are popular of you talking about how to teach.
And then you're the English teacher.
Yeah, you're awash with people asking you, like,
if I come from Schenectady.
Yeah, that's somehow my advice on teaching has always opened me up to questions of like, well, I got this particular job offer. What do you think? And like, I don't have advice like that for you. I can tell you, like, if you're teaching,
don't come here illegally.
Yeah, don't come here illegally. That's my big thing. But like the things I have to share are in Sichuan province, the L and the N sounds get conflated, and they don't in other parts of China. But I can't offer you advice, legal advice.
Or even like in Hohhot, I don't know how the L's or N's happen up there.
Yeah. It doesn't happen like that because it's a Sichuan thing. But yeah, so I was inspired by some stuff that happened in my classroom, and I think this is hilarious. And Peter kept saying, we can't name the video after ladybugs, but
Because that was part of the
yeah,
one
the
of
story,
stories.
the story that like made me think of it all
Well, don't
was.
tell the story. Go watch the video.
Oh, go watch the video. It was about ladybugs, but Peter wouldn't let me sell the story on
No
ladybugs.
one's looking up ladybugs except for like 1% of some kind of entomology or whatever it is that studies ladybugs.
I guess that's true.
But apparently, what people look up is la 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 na na na.
No, I think we're getting the English teacher traffic.
Yeah,
I mean, the actual keywords are funny tales from an ESL classroom.
yeah.
So, yeah. But the fun part of this video is so we went out in front of our apartment complex like we did very often last spring and summer because that was, as we've said,
We might bring that back as soon as it gets nice out again.
yeah. It's a good place for traffic. It gives us a good background. It gives us good looky-loos. This time, we got a guy hanging out all through the shoot, and like he and his friend, right?
Well, he had a couple of friends. There's
Yeah.
a street sweeper guy that kind of came in, and another friend that wandered by, and another one. Eventually, I think he started, and then he gathered some other people together. So by the end, you've got like 3 guys standing right behind you.
Yeah.
We're filming from 2 different angles. From your version with some guys standing up behind you, like laughing at you.
Yeah, and they were very into being
They had nothing to do that
a part
afternoon.
of it. Yeah. So that was like kind of distracting and kind of fun.
It makes for I think part of the fun of going out. It's a fun, safe place. I mean, everywhere's safe in Luzhou pretty much, but safe in terms of like being comfortable. That it's right out front of our door. We know people that come in and out. The security guards say hi. So it's kind of your neighbors that are like
Yeah.
wandering back and like, oh, what's she up to today?
Well, because I think, too, like, we'd go out there to film, but other people do just, like,
Hang out.
hang out.
Some people come out and they bring their goods, some fruits and things to sell
Yeah,
in front of
yeah.
our door, and other people stop and they hang out and
It's street life.
make some phone calls, smoke some cigarettes.
Yeah. Stay.
Kids play and run in circles.
Yeah. They're just out of the house.
It's a good heavy traffic area for us to kind of sit down and do whatever we want and maybe make a little bit of show for
Yeah.
some people enjoy.
But that guy was particularly
He's having a
memorable.
good time. So look for that.
Yeah, so look for the guy and look out for ladybugs. All right, let's move on to film school.
So another panda rat.
Another panda rat.
Look out!
So this week on film school, Peter and I were having this discussion earlier in the week, and I thought it would be an interesting discussion for the podcast. Just the idea of what do you do at the end of the day when you're wrapping up your artistic work for the day, and I guess any work, but what we talked about the context of artistic work. And actually, I first came up because I'm working hardcore on the website this week, and I do have like a very particular wrap it up ritual. Firstly, never leave a problem just dangling. I either have to fix it would be the best choice. Comment it out and comment what I'm trying to do and what's not working, so I have a place to pick up the next day. And then usually I'll make a checklist of like what still needs to be resolved. So I'll set myself up for the next day of like what's still kind of like an open ticket that needs to get done. And it's really helpful for the next day getting back into work is like I can see where I am and what I could just get right back down to work instead of having, if I don't do that, I have to kind of like detective my way through the code and figure out like what was I trying to do here. But then I figured that I do kind of have a similar practice for when I'm writing. Like I'd never leave a thought unfinished, but sometimes I will. Instead, if it's like a too big of a thought, I will leave myself not the completed thought, but instructions for finishing the thought, and like go through and just like make sure there's nothing nothing unfinished, nothing dangling. It doesn't have to be done, but it does have to be not actively a problem. And you said that you kind of have a similar way for...
Yeah, essentially. I mean, without getting too deep into whatever your technique, really. I think it's just probably a good precedent to set for whatever your work that you do is. Just don't leave dangling ends, because then it just makes harder to get back to what you're doing.
Yeah.
For me, it's like I have like, if I'm editing a bunch of footage, I've got like 5 film clips or something, and make sure that I have uploaded all of them, and at least if I start, maybe do color correction or something.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure I color correct all of them. Then I know that they're all color corrected. I can walk away, and then I can go back in and do whatever clipping or whatever it is. But
Right.
just not walking away. It just helps for you to get away from a project and sit down without like, well, this is a project that I have to do for, I don't even know where I left off. Maybe I won't do it right now.
Right. Which for me, I worked at a newspaper in New York, which we were a daily paper, so I would have, occasionally I'd have long-term projects I was working on, but a lot of stuff I would be like turnover for the next day, so it wasn't like I had to get used to leaving myself those breadcrumbs or tidying up for myself later, because later me was going to start on something new.
Plus
and
you also have editors and associate editors that would wander by and go like, where is that?
Yeah. But I think, so transitioning from sitting down and finishing something in one session to working on something over multiple sessions, I did kind of have to learn how to, because the sewing up for the day isn't like a minute. It is like a good 15 minutes, I think. Or like it's real time to leave yourself set up for the next day. Because otherwise, what I'd have to do is kind of like open everything back up and start from the beginning and like work through it, which is not a good use of your time. And then you end up rewriting this, or I end up rewriting the same thing over and over and over again. Whereas like, if I know this is done, I don't have to go back to it until like the second draft edit or the third draft edit.
Essentially, put a bookmark in it.
Yeah.
You don't just pick up a book.
Yeah.
And put it down whenever you're done reading and walk away and come back to it and go like, where was I?
Yeah, and if you've like iterated through something 10 times, you don't rewrite the first sentence 10 times.
That's just a waste of time.
Yeah, or you don't get anywhere. And what I found is when I don't do this, my brain doesn't say goodbye to the project later in the day. So I'll still keep like my subconscious is keep working on it, which is actually not great because I have like my other life to live.
Well, there's been more than a few nights that it kept you up all night long.
Yeah, like I thought of this because it happened the other night that I was trying to go to bed, and then I had to just go get a notebook and write my thoughts down because I was worried that they wouldn't come back. And I mean,
or sleep would come.
Yeah.
One or the other.
Well, yeah. I was also worried that I wouldn't be able to fall asleep, but that's also, I have lost thoughts that way. That like, oh, I'll remember it in the morning. I won't remember it in the morning. Which you kind of said you have a different experience that.
Yeah, don't sleep, but.
No, that if you have an idea and you need that idea back, it comes out.
It depends on the kind of idea. Some ideas are big enough where I'm not really dealing with details. I lose details really quickly. If I think of something funny and like, oh well, I'd like to use that somewhere else, like that's probably gone. I don't backtrack well, but if it's a big project of like this video that I was working on last night, I wanted a French horn in it. Like I'm not going to forget that a French horn goes in the song.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Because that's the big ideas are easier to hold on to, but the details, if I don't write them down right when I'm thinking of them, I lose them. And if I'm trying to go to sleep, that's like a battle. I'm like, do I lose these ideas or potentially not fall asleep? And writing them down kind of helps. Helps me wind down a little
I think
bit.
a lot of artists, at least I know from like musicians, that's pretty standard. I mean, it used to be notebooks and then
Yeah.
tape recorders and
Yeah.
now little DATs that like you just have next to your bed that you just, and writers do it too, don't they? Like,
Yeah, oh yeah.
You take it to the grocery store and what's that crazy guy doing? He's writing a book.
I did that on the treadmill the other day. I had an idea, and so I was like running, and I had my phone. I usually don't, but I did that day, and so I like just turned on the voice recorder, and I'm like talking to myself, mumbling to myself in English, which is weird enough already, on the treadmill. But I was glad because then I took that to the coffee shop and wrote it down
Bing,
later.
bang, boom.
But yeah, so I think
A lot of it really is just, and this is what helps from working at a newspaper in particular, but professionally, is just time management and organization.
yeah,
Like the reason why we could put out at least one video every day for over a year is because we figured out how to manage our time so that sometimes it gets hectic, but for the most part, like you know you've got it covered. You're under control.
Yeah.
If something slips one part, you can put something else to prop that up and,
Yeah.
and keep going.
well, yeah, I do. I always have a notebook around, or several. I have several
Maybe.
notebooks that have many different purposes that only I know. But the particular problem is if I don't like do this ending ritual, then I'm not gonna fall asleep because my brain will think like, oh, we're still going. Like, no, we're not working on that problem right now. Go to sleep.
I think a lot of hard time because that you still the vacation aside, you have to get up and go to work, and in particular work with a bunch of yelling kids that are climbing all over you.
Yeah,
You need energy,
yeah,
and I think a lot of artists that don't have a day job have the leeway of like when everyone's like, oh, because they're up all night and they're up
Yeah.
till dawn and they're partying and everything. It's not usually that. It's that, oh, boy, I'd like to go to bed now. Wait
Yeah.
a minute, what if this part was yellow? And next thing you know, it's dawn and you're covered in yellow and you're like, well, I think I might pass out, or I have passed out.
yeah. Which for writers, that's not the stereotype.
Mm.
I feel like all the writers I read about, their practice is I get up at 5:30 a.m. and then I write 10 pages and then I go about the rest of my day. Like it's
There might be a physical part of that with something like painting or
Yeah.
music or where you're playing an instrument where you can't walk away because you're like attached to something.
right. And I mean, like everybody, even among writers, I'm sure there's variation, but there is the stereotype of the writer who gets up at like before dawn
Mm.
to write. And oftentimes that's because that's the only time they have
Most artists are looking
Because
for the
they
quiet
have
times. But
jobs,
yeah,
other jobs.
it's not easy being an artist.
Yeah, I don't get up at 5 a.m. ever. But it's interesting. I think maybe we think of like Hemingway drinking and smoking and writing into the night.
Yeah,
but,
Bukowskis or whatever, like falling down a stairwell with a pad
Right.
in their hand.
but I think most writers actually don't do that.
Well, it's a lot of discipline. It's a lot of work.
Yeah. But that writing specifically is a morning thing. Whereas I don't know. Is writing a morning thing? Are other artistic practices?
Comment below.
Yeah, tell us. Yeah, comment anything. Tell us what you do. What are your habits? This is a good discussion. I want to hear what other people do. But then, so let's
You want to watch it?
wrap it up with a watch it.
Want to watch it? Coming up. Watch it.
All right, our watch it recommendation this week is a movie, The Death of Stalin by Armando Iannucci, director, perhaps writer as well.
Well, he's the beat guy, right?
Yeah, Iannucci, he's British, and he did a lot of British kind of satire. The Thick of It and Brass Eye, I think, are his big shows there. And then he did In the Loop, which was like a American political satire, and then he created Veep on HBO, which is hilarious.
Super funny. And brutal.
And brutal. But so the death of Stalin is about, in fact, the death of Stalin.
Even more brutal.
And it was hilarious and frightening and just really good. He's really well known for his foul-mouthedness.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was more so on his British shows. The cursing was very creative.
𝗣𝗵 was definitely.
I guess the language
that was
is pretty
hard
foul.
at some points. You're just like, seriously, you can't say that. I guess it's HBO, right?
yeah. But this movie, I feel like, typified the other aspect I like about him is that he's always interested in the danger of incompetence in power and incompetent people who are scrambling to hold on to the power they have, and how that is dangerous for society. All in a very tongue-in-cheek kind of death black humor kind of way.
Definitely, it's very funny.
Yeah.
But the
It
truths
also-
that it's grounded in are absolutely terrifying.
It captures the terror of living under the Stalinist regime, while presenting everybody involved as incompetent goofs.
Yeah,
Who would be maybe lovable if they weren't murdering and torturing people.
It doesn't matter the amount of loyalty that you have to anybody. Everyone's got a bullet to the back of their head.
Yeah.
And finding the humor in that, and then the death.
Yeah.
is this guy's particular talent.
And I think he's so good at the relationships between these people who are all backstabbing each other, but also trying to appear to support each other, which is also very, very much on 𝗣𝗵 what they're doing.
It's politics all around.
Yeah. But it just is darkly, darkly, darkly funny.
I could imagine, like, people must be begging him to do a current state of American politics TV show or movie.
Yeah.
And it's probably just way too easy.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I think that was
And starring 𝗖𝗵cie.
Oh yeah, 𝗖𝗵cie as Khrushchev.
It was great.
He was so good. And
He's
who
great
Jeffrey
everything.
Tambor as?
Oh yeah.
I forget his name, but one of the another guy, another Russian guy.
Well, he was forgotten by the end of the story, wasn't he? Kind of like rubbed out of like, we don't talk about him anymore. So
he might have been effectively erased from history by Khrushchev on purpose.
Spoiler.
Spoiler.
History.
Yeah, if you know your history. And actually, I did some reading after the fact, and there's some, not complaints, but just pointing out that, like, it's not a documentary of what happened. It's the historical fact has been massaged to fit the artistic
It's a comedic role,
vision. Yeah.
but not
So
like
if you're a stickler for accuracy, beware. But yeah, spoiler alert. Khrushchev comes to power after that, and then Brezhnev takes him out.
And it's a beautiful film too. It looks
Oh
amazing.
yeah, it was gorgeous, and it was a very funny cast. And I would say I enjoy 𝗖𝗵cci's point of view a lot, without that being like anything at all that I want for us in our work. I like laughing at that or commiserating with that kind of cynicism, but it is also like
It's a dark place to go.
Yeah, it's the polar opposite of what we're trying to achieve.
We have a hard time rolling ourselves around whatever small amount of political news that we ingest throughout the week just to maintain awareness on the planet and not, find ourselves in a weird place that is too dangerous.
Yeah.
That's enough.
Yeah, and I especially have no public comment on it except for be nicer to each other, guys.
Jerks.
And by be nice I mean civil and humanistic rights for everybody. But
Listen. Just listen.
Yeah, just listen.
Stop doing stuff.
Stop.
That's our
have less opinions. But
and more giraffes.
More giraffes. But I do enjoy watching that kind of thing. So that was a good one, and we recommend it.
Let's watch it.
Yeah. But I think I'm running out of steam for this week.
Well, at 50 minutes.
That's a good long time. I hope you've enjoyed yourselves. I have enjoyed myself. So on behalf of Peter and myself and the Uncle Says team.
Half of me.
That's all the Uncle Says team. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to everything or anything you want. There's no more news. Noodles to you. Goodbye.